Golden State Warriors fans, the energy around this team heading into the season feels different, and not in a bad way. There is this buzz that you can sense, a mixture of confidence and hunger, even though this roster might not be stacked with the same kind of star power we saw during those past championship runs. What makes it exciting is that the group seems to be moving with one clear mindset, a singular direction, and that's something you do not always see in the league. From the youngest players who are still figuring out their roles, to the veterans who have been through every battle, all the way to the core trio of Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler. Everyone is speaking the same language. It is less about individual glory and more about how each piece can contribute to building a contender again. When you listen to the guys talk about their offseason, you get a sense that this is not just talk for the cameras. Each player put in the work, each one looked for ways to improve, and every story about summer workouts had that common thread of commitment. They were not simply satisfied with last season's push, they wanted to build on it. The biggest question floating around during Media Day was about that momentum from last year, especially the run after the trade deadline when the Warriors went 23 wins against only 7 losses. That stretch changed the whole narrative of the season. From a team searching for identity to suddenly playing like a dangerous playoff squad, the Warriors gave everyone a glimpse of what they could become. The message now is about turning that glimpse into something lasting. One of the central themes this year is the luxury of a full training camp with Jimmy Butler. Last season, the team was scrambling, trying to dig out an early hole, and the adjustment period was cut short. They did not have much time to truly gel with Jimmy before diving straight into high-stakes games. Draymond and Steph both mentioned that from January onward it already felt like playoff basketball. Every night was a battle just to survive and climb back into position. That kind of pressure can drain a team, but it also sharpens them. And once Jimmy came into the mix, they found direction. Suddenly, there was clarity, there was energy, and the team became one of the hottest stories in the league. The problem, of course, was the lack of depth and size, something that really showed against Houston in that 7-game war and later against Minnesota when injuries started to pile up. Even then, they remained a threat. As Steph himself said, they were in the conversation, they were dangerous, and if health had been on their side, who knows how far that ride could have gone. This time, though, there's no excuse of not being ready. Having Butler fully integrated from the very beginning means the Warriors can shape their identity much earlier. What stood out to me were the comments from the younger guys about the private training camp Jimmy hosted. It was not just about drills or basketball reps. It was about building bonds. They ate together, trained together, spent time together away from the court, and those moments matter. If you think back to the dynasty years, one of the underrated pieces of that puzzle was how connected the roster was off the floor. Team dinners, late-night conversations, all those little things built chemistry that translated into winning. The Warriors know they cannot afford another slow start. They need to come out sharp. They need to come out unified because the Western Conference will not forgive early stumbles. There's also the shadow of Jonathan Kuminga hanging over the team. His contract situation and future with the Warriors were topics that refused to disappear during Media Day. While most of the younger guys kept their answers vague, it was the veterans who carried the weight of that conversation. Steph, in particular, showed once again why people call him the Derek Jeter of basketball. Calm, focused, and always pointing back to winning, his perspective was refreshing. He acknowledged the business side, told Kuminga to go get what he deserves, but made it crystal clear that if he returns, the expectation is full commitment. Winning is the only priority, and there can be no halfway in. That is leadership, and that is why his voice resonates beyond the court. Draymond, meanwhile, provided a dose of reality. He has been through tough negotiations himself. He has faced those moments when it felt like his time with the Warriors was finished. Twice in his career, he thought it was over, only to find himself back at Media Day again, still wearing the Golden State jersey. His point was that tough negotiations do not always mean a breakup. Sometimes it is just part of the process. He reminded everyone of Steph's first big contract, the one that turned out to be one of the greatest bargains in league history and helped the Warriors build their dynasty. Contracts can swing in either direction, and while the tension is natural, it does not necessarily mean the end of Kuminga's story in the Bay. Jimmy Butler's view on the Kuminga situation was far more relaxed, almost casual. For him, it will work itself out one way or another. That is the veteran in him speaking, the player who has seen similar situations in Miami and knows the league always find a resolution. Whether Kuminga stays or moves, Butler trusts the group will adapt. But what was clear in his words, and in the energy of Media Day overall, was that the Warriors are not letting outside noise fracture their focus. That leads us back to the essence of this team: mindset. Last season, once they turned that corner, they played with a fire that made them one of the most dangerous teams in the league. Injuries derailed them, but nobody could question their chemistry or their belief. Heading into this year, they have that same group, only now more prepared and more connected thanks to the San Diego training camp. Every sign points to a group that knows the urgency, knows the stakes, and understands that starting strong is non-negotiable. There is no waiting until February to find their rhythm this time. If they come out of the gate with 15 wins in their first 20 games, that could set the stage for a deep run. Momentum matters in the NBA, and the Warriors are determined to ride it from the opening tip all the way to June. The fascinating thing about this Warriors team is how every storyline seems to loop back to the same question: can they turn promise into results when it matters the most? You hear players talk about last season's climb, that 23-7 stretch after the trade deadline, and it is clear they do not see it as a fluke. They see it as proof of concept. They prove to themselves that when the roster is aligned, when everyone accepts their roles, they can stand toe-to-toe with anyone in the league. That is why this training camp has been such a talking point. Jimmy Butler has given them a different edge, a different mentality, and his leadership style is rubbing off on both the veterans and the younger players. When the vets speak, they talk about him as a competitor who has been through the fire. When the young guys speak, they talk about what it feels like to experience a winning culture for the first time. Those perspectives blend together and create a sense of belief. Another element that stands out is the chemistry off the floor. Players mentioned over and over again how valuable those team dinners and bonding sessions were. You can almost draw a straight line from those moments to the kind of trust you need in high-pressure games. A group that eats together, spends hours together outside of practice, learns how to talk to each other, learns how to pick each other up when someone struggles. That is the difference between a good team and a great team. And you can feel the Warriors leaning into that tradition again, almost like they are revisiting the formula that worked so well during the Dynasty era. The looming question of size and depth still hangs around, though. Against Houston last postseason, they needed more length. Against Minnesota, the injuries exposed the limits of their bench. It is something the organization knows they cannot ignore. Rumors keep swirling about possible moves, names like Royce O'Neal or even Nikola Vucevic being thrown into the conversation, but nothing has materialized yet. The veterans are not stressing about it publicly. They trust the front office to explore options, but the message remains the same: play with what you have, control what you can control. That is why starting fast matters so much. If the Warriors are in a strong position by January, it makes it easier for management to make smart additions at the deadline without scrambling out of desperation. Steph's leadership continues to be the anchor in all of this. The way he handled the Kuminga situation during Media Day was classic Steph. He did not dodge the question, but he kept the focus on winning. He reminded everyone that while money and contracts are part of the business, once you are in the locker room, the only thing that matters is commitment. And if Kuminga returns fully bought in, the expectation is that he will play a big role. Steph knows how to keep the group centered, how to quiet the noise, and remind them that the goal is bigger than individual disputes. His ability to lead without ego is what makes him so unique. He does not need to bark orders or dominate every conversation. His presence alone sets the standard. Draymond, on the other hand, offers the honesty that sometimes stings but always lands. He was open about the fact that negotiations can feel brutal, that he himself thought his time in Golden State was over more than once. That kind of transparency matters, especially for the younger guys who might not yet understand the business side of the NBA. Draymond made it clear that just because things look tense on the surface, does not mean bridges are burned. He is living proof that hard talks can still end with a long career in the same uniform. And when he talks about the current group, you sense pride. 14 media days in with the same franchise, he knows what this culture is about, and he knows what it takes to keep it alive. The Warriors also made sure to stress that last year's adversity built character. Playing what felt like playoff games for months just to climb back into contention created a sense of urgency that they want to carry into this year. That urgency, combined with the chemistry they are building now, is what they hope will separate them. They are realistic enough to admit they are not the deepest or tallest roster in the league, but they believe their togetherness and their collective experience can cover those gaps. They are betting on chemistry, health, and that familiar Warriors magic that comes alive when the ball is moving and everyone is connected. Looking ahead, the schedule becomes another factor. If the Warriors can hit that 15-5 mark in their first 20 games, the path opens. That kind of start would not only quiet the outside noise, but also give them confidence heading into the tougher winter stretch. They know what happens if they stumble out of the gate. They lived it last season. That is why the emphasis is on sharpness, on not waiting until February to flip the switch. Steph and Draymond have said it before. The margin for error in the West is razor thin. You cannot afford long losing streaks. You cannot afford drama to leak into the locker room. Every game matters, especially early. And then there is the Butler factor. Having a player of his caliber fully bought in from day one changes everything. His training camp in San Diego may not look like much on paper, but ask anyone in that locker room, and they will tell you it was huge. It created a sense of unity that will carry into the season. For the younger players, it gave them a glimpse of what it feels like to be part of something bigger than themselves. For the vets, it was a reminder of how important culture really is. And for Jimmy himself, it was a chance to stamp his identity on the team before the first preseason game even tipped off. That is the kind of preparation that can turn into wins down the line when the grind of the season begins to wear on you. The bottom line is this: the Warriors know they have the talent, they know they have the leadership, and now they're making sure they have the chemistry. They are not running from expectations. They are not hiding from the noise around contracts or potential trades. Instead, they're doubling down on the things they can control. If they can stay healthy, if they can channel the urgency that carried them late last season, and if they can turn this summer's preparation into momentum, then this group will be right back in the thick of the championship chase. Before we continue, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Dubs updates. Let's keep going. The basketball world is buzzing with a rumor so bold that it almost sounds like a dream. Giannis ANTETOKOUNMPO, the Greek freak, could be making his way to the Golden State Warriors. Whispers from league insiders suggest that Golden State, never shy about swinging for the fences, may have pulled off the move of the decade by bringing the two-time MVP to San Francisco. If true, this is not just another trade. It's a seismic shift that could redefine the balance of power in the NBA. The Warriors, already synonymous with success thanks to their dynasty built around Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, have long been searching for the next phase of dominance as their core edges toward the twilight of their careers. Adding Giannis would not just extend the dynasty, it might supercharge it. His unmatched blend of size, strength, and versatility could turn the Warriors back into an unstoppable juggernaut, fusing his relentless drive to the rim with Curry's unparalleled shooting range. Fans are already imagining the chaos this pairing would cause for defenses. How do you double Curry when Giannis is barreling toward the basket? How do you wall off Giannis when shooters like Klay and Andrew Wiggins are spotting up in the corners? It feels like an impossible puzzle, one that no defense in the league is equipped to solve. Social media is ablaze with mock lineups, speculative graphics, and reactions ranging from disbelief to sheer panic from rival fan bases. Of course, nothing has been confirmed, and the NBA rumor mill is notorious for its smoke and mirrors. But the timing of this chatter feels different. Giannis has long expressed his desire to compete for titles, and while the Bucks gave him that chance, pairing with the Warriors would create a historic powerhouse. The echoes of Kevin Durant's shocking move to Golden State in 2016 are hard to ignore. Though this scenario might be even bigger, given Giannis's unique skill set and physical dominance. For now, it remains a rumor, an electrifying what-if scenario sending shockwaves through the league. But if it proves true, the NBA may once again be on the verge of a new dynasty, one where the Warriors rise from champions to legends with the help of the Greek Freak. And the rest of the league? They may already be bracing for the storm. Stay updated exclusively with the latest Dub Nation news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep getting daily updates on the Warriors. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Your input is essential for the Dubs community. Stay tuned for the next video.